Hello and welcome to the Quincy Access Television Studios. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you for joining us for In Your Neighborhood, a program that looks at various neighborhoods throughout the city of Quincy and helps you to stay well informed and know what is happening in your neighborhood. Today we are visiting Ward 1. That would mean that we have the Ward 1 councilor joining us today, Dave McCarthy. Dave, welcome back.
Thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure.
A pleasure to have you. A lot going on. We should mention, even though the council is not in session during the summer months, councilors have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and Ward 1 has been extremely busy. Besides all the little things you try to take care of, street issues, sign issues, constituents issues down there. We got a lot of big projects going on in the ward right now.
And we'll talk about all of those. I think this is a show and tell program, we should mention, so folks will see images of most of the topics that we will discuss today. We're going to begin with seawalls, and in just a moment you will see those seawalls, I believe old seawalls, as well as some new construction, and talk about what's going on there. Here's the image just popped up on screen.
Yeah, good old seawalls. But
plenty in your ward, by the way.
Yeah. We are getting there. This is footage of a while ago from the Willows up to Chickatobit Beach. The Willows being down on the entrance to Howe's Neck. And we have come a long way. We are at the point of almost completion, kind of a heavy-duty punch list, let's call it, to get our contractors back to do some things that we want to make sure 100% correct. But the seawall program, a project, really has come out nice. It's a nice project. Long, tedious. I gotta, congratulate the residents for their patience. A lot of times we're in their backyard doing some work, and when you tear out a seawall that's been there for 75 years or so or more, and put in a new one, it's always nice when it's completely done, and we're almost there.
Now, is the height different in the new seawalls?
Yes. So that right there, that image, that's the Willows. Yeah, it's gone up 2 feet. The 2 feet is the number we came to for the entire seawall. So we've raised it up 2 feet off of the initial seawall. It seems that it should be able to do the job. We have the option to go up 2 more feet down the road if we need to with this seawall. There's a way to attach another section on top if we had to, and it would be secure. But right now I feel very confident in the work they've done.
We should mention that Ward 1 has the bulk of the seawalls
Yes,
in the city of Quincy, because there is so much of Ward 1 that is coastal.
Right. The seawall from the Willows to Chickatobit, phase 1, hopefully we lean in the next 18 months or so for phase 2, which is Manat Ave down to Bayswater, deeper into Howe's Neck. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, the biggest part is the city and the contractor correcting some really outdated drainage. A lot of the pipes were very small, were crushed over the years. The pipes have been enlarged, the catch basins have been repaired, and we're always going to get water over the wall.
And we should mention too, with sea level rise, a real result of climate change, I believe. I would venture to say that's why the increase in height.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've definitely seen an increase in tides from years ago. A lot of the guys that I know down there that used to dig clams would go by the tides. And
Frank
McCauley being one of them. And they would keep a detailed list, and it shows it's gone up, a foot or 2 feet over the course of the last 30 years. So drainage is big. The water will always come over the wall. The wind will bring it over the wall. It brings it up, hits the wall, brings it over. It's to drain it out at low tide. During that storm in 2018 in March, we had a heck of a time getting it back out, even at low tide.
Right, I remember that. We are now going to move to a field, Lebrec, and there are some renovations going on there.
Yes. LeBrec, I don't think, has had a facelift in a long time. What we tried to do down there, we sent out some notice to the community, especially the abutters around LeBrec, that we're going to do some work. The pictures that you see here, this is some construction that's been done removing one of the basketball courts. The new basketball court will sit on this gravel at some point, and the first court will come out and be replaced by the playground, which sits out on Hawthorne Street out in left field. We felt bringing the playground up to the parking lot and up to the area, better accessibility. Hawthorne's a dead end. The neighbors have had a heck of a time down there over the years with just cars trying to park. Also, when you see a grandmother or a mother or a father heading across the field with their stroller, they have a hard time going across the grass to get to the playground. So we moved that playground up. We put in a brand new court. We're going to put a walking path around the perimeter of LeBrec, and we're going to do the field over. It's got some lumps and bumps that need to go. And also the backstop in the back of LeBrec, we'll remove that. That's just rusted and should come out.
I do want to mention that what folks saw at the end of that footage was a trail that almost runs next to LeBrec Field.
Yeah,
Talk about that. That looks like a great walking trail.
Yeah, there's a few trails that are out there that'll lead out to Rockland Street. You can cut through the marsh. We left it alone. We think that the natural beauty out there is very nice. By removing that old backstop, it's really gonna add to the scenic view out there of the creek. So it's a beautiful area.
We should mention that with COVID-19, a lot of folks have taken to the outdoors and have explored maybe areas that they never had in the past.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking down in the LeBrec area on the berm that runs from LeBrec all the way up towards Broad Meadows. And then there's walking paths that are up down at the Crusher, which is down on Rhoda Street. Plenty of places down in Howe's Neck to walk.
Next, we are going to take a look at some work that was done by National Grid, and that involved C Street. Talk about, there's actually some updated information about what's going to be happening on C Street, but while folks do, I guess, view this footage of some gas line work being done, again, you can talk about the latest happenings.
Sure. C Street has been under construction for a year and a half. We felt in 2020, when we had probably 25% of the traffic out there, 75% at home, working from home because of COVID, we would aggressively attack C Street, which needed updated water mains, water pipes, and National Grid, which needed to update the gas line, especially from the Willows to LeBrec. The gas line that came down from Palmer to the boardwalk, and folks will know what I mean that live down there to the boardwalk, needed to be replaced also. But the line from the Willows to LeBrec was very bad, and the gas pressure would get very low. And some of the houses years ago down the end of the neck couldn't get the pressure they needed. So by upgrading all of this, they'll get the pressure, and we can move forward now with the paving. We're all done.
And what's the timeline, or how many phases would that be done in?
So right now, they're on the street doing some curbing, doing some sidewalk repair, prepping to get ready to do paving, which will probably begin the second week of August. We're planning to do from LeBrec to the Willows first, because it's a single lane in and a single lane out. We don't want to get near Labor Day with school and have issues with buses being rerouted all over the place. We'll take care of that first. That'll get us out to the 4 lanes after the Willows, which will give us more flexibility to do 1 lane at a time on each side and be able to have the other lane for the travel lane. So we kicked that around in multiple meetings with the Feeney brothers, with National Grid, and hats off to Al Grazioso, Larry Prendeville and company of the DPW, because they understand we've got to make this all work, because there's other paving that's going to happen later on after C Street down in House Neck and Mears Ave, Darrow Street, a few other smaller streets, and we want to make sure we're not at that Darrow Street location when we're doing C Street, because we'll all be in the same place at the same time.
Right.
So we'll do Mears, or we'll do Shed Street down in Germantown, then we'll come back and do Darrow. A lot of paving, but it's about time.
We are going to the beach, and there are many beaches within your ward, but specifically today we will visit Baker Beach and see some of the work that's being done there.
Yeah, Baker Beach, as you can see on the screen, needed a lot of work. It was run down. They put in a new outfall pipe that they're going to keep working on to cover it up, to protect it, so swimmers don't get hurt anywhere near it. And I think the riprap that goes over the top, we've done it on a couple of them over on the Norton Beach, over on the Turn Beach. For the seawall, we're going to continue to fix that. Reseeded the top of Baker Beach and tried to put some sand in. We're going to put some more sand in. Try to figure out, too, how to work with Palmer Street, which runs off and sometimes washes that beach out. So that's about 80%. And we're going to get back on that horse sooner or later and finish it. We've done some other improvements down in Germantown. Also down in Bow Street, the marsh, we cleaned it out. New basketball courts are going in behind Snug Harbor. And we're working on the Northfield, Brockton Ave area, a little park area that the neighbors would like, that is city-owned land, and a new flagpole down there. So we constantly are in the neighborhood trying to improve things.
And just a question, when you mentioned sand to bring to Baker Beach, how is the sand acquired, or where does it come from?
Well, on the Conservation Commission agenda, you'll see nourishment for the beach.
Okay.
That means sand.
I see, okay.
So we're trying to jump through hoops right now with the environmental EPA and get the green light and get the right licenses to drop sand, not just on Baker, but I think it's 12 beaches, and I think I have 8 of them. Edgewater, Perry, Rhoda, Heron Road, also down on, further down from Baker Beach, I think it's, I don't know the name of the beach on the corner down by Taffield. They might call it Sandy Beach, but we're trying to hit all the public areas with well-needed sand that hasn't been there in a long time.
How is, I know it's a small beach, but how is Rhoda?
Rhoda's in good shape. Very small. It's got sand there now. It needs to be raked and needs to have probably a good layer of sand. That's probably the easiest one to start with, because it's had sand, it keeps its sand. A lot of the other beaches, especially on the Quincy Bay side, Heron, Perry, coming up along, up towards Turn Road at Norton Road, they see more of the brunt of the Northeast. So the sand disappears quicker. So, just what it is, what it is.
We now are actually going to move to John O'Hara Square and the World War II monument. Folks will see some images of where the monument was and talk about some of the work that's being done.
Yeah.
The monument has been moved as of July 4th, or just prior to July 4th.
Right. We one of the things that I noticed, and I try to get myself in each section of the ward a lot, was the World War II monument that sat at the Hofbrau at Curlew. And it was well maintained by the neighbors with flowers and always mowed, but it seemed like no one could really stop there and recognize the World War II vets from Adams Shore. So I sent a letter to all the neighbors in the Adams Shore area, and I said, how about we pick up that monument and we put it down in the circle, not too far away, we can make a nice patio area with benches near the monument, light the monument up, soft light at night on O'Hara Circle. And that way folks you could stop and recognize it. I'd like to get someone who's down at Adams Shore who has the time to seek out a plaque we can put together and list all the World War II vets and put that down there also. Meanwhile, up where the monument was located for years, we would go and put a piece of Adams Shore granite or stone up there on the island, similar to Quincy Shore Drive. Welcome to Adams Shore, and light it up and put the proper plantings with the flagpole and business as usual.
Well, I know exactly what you said. First time I think I took some pictures of the monument, I almost missed it because of where it was located. So if it's a monument in dedication, you certainly want the visibility.
Yeah, the Shea family's been down at Adams Shore forever, and Mrs. Shea just passed away. But before she passed away, she had responded to my letter and said, Dave, I knew we had a monument there, and I've been here she had to be there for 60 or 70 years, but I never knew what it was. And that's the reason, just to slow people down and have them recognize it at the circle. And the folks in Adams Shore, I think, will be pleased when we're all done.
We are now moving to Butler's Pond, and folks will see Butler's Pond as it is seen today. But you and I mentioned, actually just prior to sitting down, that Julianne Sullivan, of the environmental scientist here in the city of Quincy, tonight, as a matter of fact, is doing a presentation for folks talking about what is going to be done there to basically rehab that pond. And of course, the presentation was done not too long ago before the city council.
Yeah, the presentation was, Julie, first of all, has been a great addition as a natural resources employee and environmental scientist for Dave Murphy. And Butler's Pond was a unanimous vote by the council to have it, we'll call it dredged out, renovated, restored, and put it back to the way it was. There's a lot of things I think that are in Butler Pond over the years that could we do without, and I think the restoration of the pond itself is needed to be done a long time ago.
Well, I think the vegetation, invasive vegetation, has affected the pond, correct?
Yeah.
And then in turn it affects the species.
Yeah, just like any of the invasive we run into in some of the wetlands, the marshlands, down at the berm, and some of the places down the creek. The Phragmites comes in, and
that's a bad word.
Yeah, it's a bad word, and things happen. But Butler's Pond is well overdue to get a cleaning.
We are now actually moving over to the Southern Tide Mill and that piece of property, because there is a thought, there is some word out there that that could turn into a launch for maybe kayaks.
Yeah. So a few months ago, the mayor had a discussion with me because he knew I was down there already doing a lot of work behind CVS. That area behind CVS, there's the Tide Mill up there on the picture, but to the right of that, behind the parking lot, was overgrown, rubbish. There it is there. And I had Dave Murphy and Natural Resources go down, try to clean it up as best we can.
Yeah, that's a nice shot of it right there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. Now, there's an old dock that was there that we'd love to restore, because if you go down further, and as we look at this picture, down towards that building, those are lobster traps down the end. And DJ Davis, who's a friend of mine from Howes Neck, is kind of the keeper of the lobster traps down there with a few other guys. And we talked about the area, about making it a passive park. Then the mayor came in recently and I don't know if they've purchased it yet or not. I think they're close to the area that goes behind CVS, goes behind the 3A Marine, I guess you go, the boat ramp where Meineke is and the gun place, and there's a Marine, like a boat motor shop.
Right.
And they are going to, I think, pick up that whole parcel right now as open space. And I kind of compare it to, and we were talking earlier about the Adams Academy. I was in a battle with a guy over 80 units that he wanted to drop in next to the Adams Academy there. And we were back and forth trying to make it smaller, and finally the mayor had called me up and said, hey, I think we're going to take this with community preservation, historic monies, and take that whole area and try to convert it into a presidential library that he's looking at, which I think is a great idea. At the same thing, you jump back to the boat ramp and the boat area. I'd love to see it stay exactly like it is, clean it up, maybe organize it a little better, and maybe utilize that grassy area behind CVS that we were cleaning up, make it into a park.
Would the Quincy Recreation Department potentially use that?
I think so. I think, when you talk about kayaks, canoes, I think there's a lot of potential down there you could get into.
Well, they do the sailing program out on Blacks Creek.
Right, they could do it out of there. They might need some dredging. It gets very low. When that tide goes out, there's a narrow channel that I think there's 50 or 51 folks down in that little marina that have a slip. But they can barely get out at low tide.
Okay.
So there'd have to be a little dredging in there for the lobstermen also. I'd love to utilize the lobstermen in that area there. But if we didn't do that, it was going to get scooped up by Joe Q Developer again, and it's in my ward, and I'd be back with the 80 units again. I want to put so I think it's great protection, both places. The Historic Society move up there, that land grab, and then this one down here because that'll only end up coming around and helping out the Southern Tide Mill area too, which definitely needs some help in that patio area. Well, you never know what could end up down there. Maybe an ice cream shop, maybe a lobster type shop, and you could have something small and go sit at the patio at the Southern Tide Mill and enjoy something.
Now, how long ago has it been since that tide mill was firmed up, at least? Because it was, there was worry that it was going to fall into the water.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Paul Hines, the director of buildings, and myself, I went to a couple of Southern Tide meetings, and it was just basic windows, roof, doors. They still haven't really got into it's secure, but it could use, if we were going to do this.
So if this was going to be developed, then would there be a use then for the tide mill? In other words, would that be, quote, opened maybe at that point?
Yes, definitely. And it would need to be firmed up completely. You go in there now, and there's not much. It's pretty empty. You could firm it up. You could put it on, a place, like you were visiting the birthplaces or the Adams Mansion or the Southern.
Because there's a history there too.
There's a history there too, and that's not going to go anywhere now. It's going to, and I think it's a great move to grab that whole parcel. It's waterfront, and we're Quincy, and
waterfront is
waterfront.
well sought
Yes.
after. We're actually going to end talking a little bit about businesses and talking about what used to be Louis Crossing on C Street, correct? Oh,
yes.
Yeah, C Street. And
yes.
It's now called Off the Hook, and
Off the
just
Hook.
about ready to open.
Yeah, we'll give John Galligan a plug on QATV. There it is. John's done a heck of a lot of work to get it back up. He had issues after the 2018 storm. They've renovated the whole place. Had a soft opening, we'll call it, this past week. I've also talked to probably 2 or 3 people that said they've gone in. They said it was excellent. House Neck needs it. He's added some old House Neck pictures in there, and I see that Harvey's Wharf that he's gotten there to do the sign, and
That's a
Good-
little
good
piece of
for
history
John.
there.
yeah, Harvey's Wharf was on Harvey's Lane up a little bit.
Okay.
And Jerry Lyons owned Harvey's Wharf. And when Dave McCarthy used to work for Jerry Lyons when he was a kid, putting six horsepower Johnson motors on 16-foot skiffs and sending a lot of New Yorkers and New Jersey guys out flounder fishing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was up on the hill, so Louis was right there near me. So
And talk about
know.
the parking lot that's, I guess, across from
So the
the
park-
restaurant?
the parking lot across from Louis was Louis' parking lot.
Right. Well, then this, I guess, is to the side.
This is to the side. That got developed with 2 homes, a single family and a beautiful single family, and 2 nice townhouses. They came out beautiful. They sold, boom, they were gone. So there was always, and I justly so, the neighbors concerned about what happens with Louis, you know. They had 20 or so spots. And they probably had 10, 15 cars in there all the time, you know, someone. But most people walk. We took the parking lot next door, which is state city, let's call it share owned, and the city will end up taking over the whole lot when we get to the Maritime Center. But that lot, we went in and restriped it for passenger cars so the yacht club could utilize it. Louis could utilize it. And then we striped the back half with trailer spots, and also trailer spots on the ramp side, on the water side. We probably got 20 trailer spots for guys to leave their trailer. In some spots, they have to unhook and go park their car. Or we made extra large spots where they could leave their truck and their trailer on. It's worked out so far. But it definitely was an underutilized parking lot. It was always kind of a mishmash of things. So it'll help them all out down there.
And believe it or not, we are coming to the end of this program. I don't know if there's anything you would like to add in the last 2 minutes.
They did a lot of work in the neck for me this summer. They upgraded the skating rink that's down the end of the neck. That was kind of falling apart. Outdoor rink
Okay. Whereabouts?
right in Brillfield.
Oh, okay.
We put that together. A lot of little things in Adams Shore also, and in Marymount, but it looks good. I like doing it. You know, I enjoy doing it. I'm probably in the ward almost every day. You know, take a little spin, make sure the boys are doing something.
Very good. Well, I'm sure your constituents and residents of Ward 1 are glad to hear that. And I'm sure they say hello as you walk by.
Yeah, I hope
want
so.
I want to thank you for coming in and naturally invite you to do these on a frequent basis. Thank you for taking the time, lunchtime actually today, to join us.
No, thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure.
A pleasure. And thank you at home for watching. Please continue to watch QA TV for more locally produced programming.